to lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century in a way consistent with American interest and the common interest.
History tells us that during the War of 1812, after the Capitol was burned, Georgetown University offered to serve as a temporary site for the federal government. Well, we didn't take that offer, but as we celebrate the bicentennial of Georgetown's federal charter, it's a reminder of the special ties between the university and this government. Over the centuries, many Georgetown grads have gone into public service, including 16 current members of the House of Representatives. As a graduate of another great Jesuit institution, Xavier University, I have great affection for the value and purpose of a Jesuit education. With that in mind, it's my privilege, on behalf of the whole House, to recognize this bicentennial and congratulate Georgetown on all its accomplishments.
Hello, Georgetown. As your neighbor, I thought I'd say hello and congratulate you on the 200th anniversary of your charter. A lot's happened in Washington over 2 centuries, and Hoyas have always been at the center of the action. Georgetown graduates have gone on to serve as president of this country and other countries, as members of Congress, and even as basketball-crazed senior advisors working down the hall from me in the West Wing. Over the years, you've welcomed countless international students, just as Georgetown students are known for serving all over the world. Your graduates crowd the ranks of Peace Corps volunteers. Simply put, this country and this world benefit from your commitment to Jesuit principles, to being men and women for others. Here's to the next 200 years. Happy birthday, and Hoya Saxa.
As a community, Georgetown is committed to the creation and dissemination of knowledge that contributes to human flourishing and the common good. You may see written on the wall behind me the Latin phrase, ad maiorem Dei gloriam inque hominum salutem. The first half of this phrase, ad maiorem Dei gloriam, is the motto of the Jesuits. It means for the greater glory of God. As a university in the Jesuit tradition, all of our work is for God's greater glory. And because of our tradition, we are also committed to work for the betterment of humankind. And that is the second half of the phrase, inque hominum salutem.
We're going to get into a topic that, again, some people have heard about the Jesuits. Some people have never heard of the Jesuits. The people who have heard of them do not really understand the power and the control that they have. Most people have heard about the Illuminati, the Council of 13, the Committee of 300, the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, and so on and so forth. But the Jesuits, in my view, is a whole different ball of wax. And at the end of the day, most of all of what I just mentioned culminates into the Jesuit order. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
I would say absolutely yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So how do we start with who are the Jesuits? So for the folks out there that are listening to the show, Jesuits 101, how do we explain to them who they are? Where do we start?
The Jesuits have been in power under Vatican. They're essentially the military arm of the Vatican. They have their military arm of the Jesuits is called the Knights of Malta. You may have heard of the Maltese Cross. The Columbus, Christopher Columbus on his ships had the Maltese Cross, the red shield. Red shield is related to the Rothschilds, which means red shield. And they were founded under the Vatican to establish basically rule over all dominion over all what they call heretics and Christians. And because they're the divine right of God, they have the right, and they put it into Roman Latin law, which we're still under today. Also, our currency is under Roman currency as well, maritime law. And so it's all tied back to the Vatican, which is part of the trilateral. You may have heard of the Trilateral Commission. Well, they refer to the three city-states of Washington, D.C., the City of London, and the Vatican. And each of these city-states are beholden to no country, have their own mayor, their own police force, actually their own constitution, which we can get into a little bit later. And they've just decided that because Roman Catholicism has to be the overarching power that is the representative of God, and since they're the representative, they get to make the rules, that they hold dominion of all souls and all land. And they passed some laws back in the 13 and 1400s, what we can get into under trusts, and that's how our Roman Latin law system got established that we're still using today. They rule by secrecy. They're masters of deception. If you've heard their name, if you see them in power, they have handlers. They have people right behind them or right next to them to make sure that they don't get out of line. And those are the names you don't hear, which we'll be bringing up a little bit later. But basically, they've been behind the scenes for a very long time. They've caused a tremendous amount of pain and suffering. Just the Spanish Inquisition is one. World War II, Operation Keyhole, when they sent over 5 million Orthodox Christians back to Russia after World War II in sealed cars with Dwight D. Eisenhower and FDR's approval. And those people were basically either put in the gulags or killed when they arrived in Russia because they fled Russia to get away from World War II, and then they were sent right back. So they've held military power, and they use it through what they call Jesuit assistancies. And these assistancies are in Central Europe, East Europe, South Europe, West Europe, North Latin America, Africa, East Asia, South Latin America, and the USA assistancy. And through these assistancies and through their religious connections, they are able to affect policies of their own secret ways to influence governments, to influence the financial world, to influence the media, whatever direction they want to take. And when you get into the whole legacy of the Jesuits, you're going back easily 500 to 1,000 years or more. And maybe, Bruce, you can talk about that from 1,000 years ago, how they got started with that.
You know, they do everything is in a veil of secrecy, so we try to piece together as much as we can. I do want to read you a quote here, which I think everybody has heard of, but maybe the origins are a little bit cloudy, is the ends justifies the means. That is the Jesuit maxim. So whatever it takes to get it done, regardless of collateral damage, doesn't matter. They're going to do what they're going to do, and that's because their sole aim is to accomplish that specific task.
What is it that they're trying to get done?
Ultimately, what they're trying to get done is to bring in the New World Order. And what is the New World Order, right?
Right.
The New World Order is going back to the old way it was, the old world order, which is a feudal serf system, fascism, global fascism, period. That's it really, and that's certainly, that's all it is in a nutshell. But I'd like to read you a quick quote here, which I find very interesting. It says, "My history of the Jesuits is not eloquently written, but is supported by the unquestionable authorities and is very particular and very horrible. The Jesuit order's restoration in 1814 by Pope Pius VII is indeed a step towards darkness, cruelty, despotism, and death. I do not like the appearance of the Jesuits. If ever there was a body of men who merited eternal damnation on earth and in hell, it's the Society of Jesus," or Ignatius de Loyola, who's the founder, Ignatius Loyola. John Adams, 1735 to 1826, second president of the United States. And throughout our talk today, I think we'll be able to deposit many good quotes there, right, Jamie?
Well, I just was looking at another one from John Adams. My history, not from John Adams, from Woodrow Wilson. Since I entered politics, I've chiefly had men's views confided to me privately, some of the biggest men in the United States. They know that the power is somewhere is organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive, that they had better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it. Samuel Morse of Morse Code, The Jesuits are a secret society, a sort of Masonic order with super added features of revolting odiousness and 1,000 times more dangerous. So we have just many, many, many quotes of the Jesuit order, but it has never been brought to the common day forefront of knowledge. We're never taught anything about this. This was a man, a Canadian historian, J.E.C. Shepherd. Between 1555 and 1931, the Jesuit Society of Jesus was expelled from at least 83 countries, cities, states, and cities for engaging in political intrigue and subversion plots against the welfare of the state, according to the records of the Jesuit priest of repute, Thomas Campbell. Practically every instance of expulsion was for political intrigue, political infiltration, political subversion, and inciting to political insurrection.